right.
Nice.
Now I'm all lined up. My shirt's not fucking scrunching up.
Looking hot.
There we go. Dude, I love the dad. Cross legs here. This is nice.
Oh, yeah. I got the shorts going. I mean, I got good legs, though. So.
Yeah. I don't have good legs like that. These things need to stay covered up.
Those shoes, I've seen some wear and tear.
Just mowed the grass in these babies the other day.
Nice.
It's a long day out there for sure.
Daddy Danny.
Oh, yeah. Rad dad.
Are we on?
We're on. Yeah, we're on now.
Let's do it. Welcome to my girlfriend's TV shows podcast. This is exciting.
My girlfriend's TV shows in Dan's wife's basement. This is
that's right.
This is amazing.
Well, naturally, had to have you on as a guest. You were probably one of the first people that I told about this idea, and you're also married, and you watch a lot of these bullshit shows as a married man on the regular.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not even my choice either. Just it's kind of there, and then I get sucked into it, and next thing I know, I'm screaming about Stacy's whorish friend just along with my wife. Whatever's going on, I get into it.
That's how I am. Like at first, I'll be like, this show sucks, man. I'm like, what are we watching? And then I'm sitting down, and after about 10 minutes, I'm like, what's this bitch doing? And then all of a sudden I'm asking questions, like, and she's like, I thought you weren't interested. I'm like, I'm not. I'm just, what is she doing though?
That's always the worst with it, where you like want to say this is so dumb, I'm so disinterested in it, and then 5 minutes later, it's like, what did that bitch say?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the shows that I've been watching, like that, my girlfriend Sam, shout out to Sam, watches his Bravo shows. Oh yeah. And Bravo, as we all know, it's a lot of dog shit on there. There's some good ones, and we'll talk about that. There are some good ones that I really do like on there, but it's a lot of dog shit. Like Bravo shows. I mean, it's kind of like junk food, where I'm like, I'm watching it and I'm like, I know this isn't good for me. I know I shouldn't indulge. And after a while, it does kind of make me sick. But, sometimes I want some junk food.
Yeah, that's what happens with it. And it's just what my wife Rachel always says is that's her, like how she winds down after a long day is watching that. But I feel like it's kind of intense for that. I know. And then here I am saying I do that, years ago. It's like I would do that and then not play Grand Theft Auto. It's like that's intense too. But different. Like it's not just relaxing, sitting there hearing Kardashians scream at each other. It's a bit of a difference. But
that's one of the worst ones that I haven't gotten really in deep into the Kardashians though. There's been a couple that I've started, which I actually really like. The Kardashians is one where I kind of dipped into and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah. It's really bad.
And was that a Bravo one or was that on E?
I think both. I think maybe it started on E, but I think that Bravo shows it because I feel like anytime I'm watching a Bravo show with Sam, it pops up or there's commercials for it, but I don't fucking I'll know a couple episodes in because I'm going to have to cover it.
Yeah, and then Bravo's just spun, especially during the pandemic, of all of the after shows of even before it they were doing it, but the Andy Cohen, is that his name, Andy Cohen?
Andy Cohen, yeah.
He was the one that's doing the recaps and he's just sitting there and you could see that he's just egging them on. He's just stirring it on. He's just like, well, weren't you doing that? Oh, yeah, those things. It's kind of like The Bachelor. It's doing every show is doing that now. They were doing them over Zoom, but it goes, I can see how it gets pretty heightened, but it's like reality TV meets, I don't know if I would say it's reality TV for women, but it's like definitely, geared that way more than regular reality TV shows.
Andy Cohen, I just like started to learn and watch him because of these shows, because he covers all of them. So I didn't really know who he was before, but he totally just does stir the pot. Like he'll ask the most leading questions and almost act as if I didn't expect this response. He'll be like, now, Cindy on episode 2 called you a whore. Were you aware of that? And then you guys discuss, and then they're what? And then shit breaks out. And you're like, you knew what you were doing there.
And I always call that out, and I'm like, why is he always doing that? And he acts like he's so innocent, but then it's like, I'm that guy in social instances. Yeah. I'm the one that's stirring the pot with it, and then I step back, or I call somebody out for one thing and get, And
I guess that's his job. I guess they don't want a guy that's keeping the peace there. They want some drama.
They need that to happen, and I've actually taken classes in college. A videography professor of mine worked on what was the Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey show that they did.
I do remember that one.
That's where the famous chicken
Jess
tuna
and Nick or something
like that, and that was like
they were big.
That was huge,
early 2000s maybe.
Yeah, and that was like reality TV before the height of all these Bravo shows.
Yeah.
And I think
was that one of the first ones.
That was one of them, yeah, because I think before, you had the Real World around forever, and then they started doing the celebrity ones.
Yeah.
And that one was one of the first like couple celebrity ones that really blew up. And he said that MTV just kept every single closet or pantry, whatever. It was just all loaded with liquor and beer nonstop. And all they were doing was incentivizing them. Like, you should drink before we fit. Like, it was all just heavily like, get wasted, get in a fight. Like, you need some fireworks and some shit to blow up. Like, it's why people go to NASCAR races. It's like, you need something like that to happen.
Yeah. So, I heard that they used to do that with, what was that one show, man? When we were in grade school and high school, it was really big. It was called The Hills. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, that and Laguna Beach.
Beach. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But I had heard that they used to like sort of, which now you watch, you go back and see some of these and you're like, oh, this is so clearly staged, where at least now, I mean, it has come a long way where you they kind of make it seem at times like it's spontaneous, but that they used to text them like, so-and-so, start a fight with so-and-so because, you know, she said this or something like that. I mean, it's a lot of production, and you can clearly tell with a lot of these things, you know, depending upon the show that you're watching, which, God, that can make it really bad. So let me just introduce the reason for this show to this audience. But, you know, here's the deal. I have a girlfriend. Dan is married.
Game over.
So we'd be watching these shows with our respective girlfriends, wives, just one girlfriend, but, you know, girlfriends that people, I don't know what I'm saying. I'd be watching
your significant other, girl you're hanging out with, whoever.
Yeah. And so I started to kind of shit on some of these television shows and put it on my Instagram and call it, you know, my girlfriend's TV shows. And I started to get a lot of responses, obviously from the girls who watch the show, and they're like, oh yes, like I hate this bitch, or he's the worst, or whatever. But then also a lot of the guys that are like, oh bro, I can't stand this show, or like, yeah, I actually secretly love this show too, because let's be honest, we're all watching it anyways. A lot of us, you know, there's a lot of hardos out there that are like, I can't stand that shit, but some of them are good. That we sit back and I act like I hate. Some of them I do hate, but the fun is shitting on them. So I was like, why not make a show where that's, you know, all I do is recapping these shows that I'm constantly watching anyways with my friends. You know, not just a guys show, gonna have some girls on that are big fans of different shows too, that have boyfriends that, you know, watch their shows and get their take too. But that was kind of my idea behind this whole thing. Yeah,
and what a category of television to pick apart like that, because I find myself, and I'm sure you do that too, and that's anything really, just you try and pick apart something like that, especially doing comedy. That's kind of what you're supposed to do, just observationally pick things apart. And I mean, perfect category to do it for, to be honest. With these shows, there's a lot to uncover.
There's a lot of them, and there's an endless amount too. Like, if it gets, you know, necessary, we could always go back into some of the seasons that, because there's a lot that I haven't seen. And they're constantly putting out, I'm not just going to keep it to Bravo. They're constantly putting out these new shows on Netflix or like or HBO that'll come out that are kind of a quick hot thing. Like, there was like these HBO series that all the girls at work were watching. It was, I think it was like Little Fires Everywhere or stuff like that, where I'd get stuck watching that for a while. That one was dog shit, by the way. God, kill myself with that show.
That one, and then what are the ones that are on like cable networks? The This Is Us and the other ones. Those ones are like that, very popular, but they try and mix it into like very current events, but they just go to like the 12th degree of like the worst possible scenario, and it's just the way they do it. I'm just like, oh God, like, oh, there's people that are paid to put this together. Oh, brutal.
And like, there's a lot of them that are kind of popular in a very specific point in time. Like, you know, I can't really go back. At least I don't think people are going to be as interested if I were to go back and do a recap on that piece of shit show, Little Fire, or series or movie, Little Fires Everywhere. I mean, it was terrible. Like, they literally said throughout the show at one point, it's like there were a bunch of little fires everywhere. And I'm like, they did not just say that in the middle of the show.
Oh, God. If you're going to work in the title of the show, you got to be like...
Be a little more subtle.
Yeah, be like that Next show on MTV where they're dating on the bus. You literally tell people next. Like,
you could not do that show now. So that is like so... I mean, people are, you know, with cancel culture, and you can't say anything with, especially shaming somebody's looks. How about that on the show Next, where a guy would come out of the bus and a girl would look at him him, and if it was like a fat guy, she would go, nope, he wouldn't even speak. And she'd go, no, I don't think so.
No way that
Can you
would
imagine?
Fly. No way that would fly today. No, because it's all just judging upon who you see. And it's some of the best looking people would at least get to speak, but then after hearing them speak for a little bit, some people would say next, other people wouldn't.
Remember room raiders? They would like go in their room and they'd be like, oh, look, this guy wears a 7 shoe. Nuh-uh, don't think so. He's probably 5'2".
Yeah. And now they go in the. Could you imagine what they'd be finding in people's rooms now? Oh boy. Oh God.
Lots of porno.
Yeah, that and just oh God, I couldn't imagine.
So, anyways, the topic, or not the topic, the series that Dan chose, because I think that every guest we're gonna have a different show that we watch, or just whatever people want to talk about, that they get sucked into with their significant other. Today's is Below Deck. Pretty popular show.
It is, and every time I ask somebody if they watch it, it's definitely one of the more popular ones up there with the Real Housewives. I would say those two are some of the more frequently recognizable ones from people that are either into it or not into it. I would say those two are up there. Yeah,
Below Deck, I did not. It was one of those shows that I would always see on. Because I just feel like it's constantly on 24/7, like as you're flipping through cable. And I was like, ugh, I'm not going to dive into this thing. But then as I started this, I was like, this is one of the most popular ones that I hear about. Let me dive in.
Yeah. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't mind watching it because at least compared to a lot of other reality TV, like you were saying, there's a lot of garbage out there, a lot of talentless hacks on TV making a living from this stuff. At least these people are like trained and somewhat close to being very skilled professionals in something that is like, you know, maritime based stuff, and like knowing how to, sometimes they have sailboats, sometimes they're on yachts. Knowing that stuff is, it's a pretty, you know, they're not just, you know, servers or something like that. Like they know a lot about either boating or cooking or whatever. Like they're at least some type of professional in a way, and they know what they're doing. And then the trash just rolls in when they want to get them drunk and get them into fights, and they start screwing each other.
Same ingredients that we talked about earlier. If you want, you know, some, you know, decent content for the show, you get the whole cast drunk. That's basically the plot of this show, is like what happens when you put a bunch of drunk people on a boat that, you know, for an entire summer. Yeah,
that's exactly what happens. And at least in this too, you get to see beautiful destinations. I love watching that and seeing a little bit about that. And you get to sometimes see some of the trashy people that are rich enough to get a luxury private yacht, but then they are, you know, complete a-holes. Yeah. So that's nice too.
That's I want to take a step back for a second. Exactly what you said is how I feel about the show, where I'm like, I kind of like it a little bit, but there's also, you know, it's not great, but I do kind of get interested the more that I watch it. Like when I first flipped it on, I'm like, all right, I get it. I get the whole thing. It's going to be a bunch of drunk people. You put them on a boat. There's going to be angry customers. There's going to be, you know, people hooking up on the boat because they're going to get drunk and they're going to make some mistakes.
Oh yeah.
They're going to have, you know, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and this is like, at least at least it's a luxury yacht. You know, it's not like we're, you know, following around a bunch of fuck boys on a Carnival cruise line getting an HPV from some guy in a kitchen that's from a different country. You know, this is at least a little classier.
Yeah, a classier place to get HPV.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where else would you want to do it? Yeah, on a luxury yacht in the Mediterranean. Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, and then you watch these people do it. They get off the boat sometimes. They get to go into some nice ports.
I just get hammered.
And they get hammered there. I saw one. I think they were. I'm not sure where they were. I want to say they was either Germany or Italy, and they go out to the clubs and stuff there, which was insane. And of course, it seems like everybody that works in the yacht industry is just at least at a minimum an 8.5. So I mean, there's that.
And they're all alcoholics. Yeah, there's not one that's like, I'm sober. Or at least I've only seen one season. Full disclosure, I've seen season 7, which we'll get into, but they all just freaking
big boozers. Yeah. And I guess I could see what it is, because it's kind of fun. Sometimes the guests that you're serving want you to have fun with them. There's that type of pressure in there. But then again, you're also on a boat, and it's like, I don't get seasick, but sometimes I don't always want to get wasted when having to go to sleep rocking on a boat. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I give it to them for that, but they're all just young, and they're just living the dream. They don't have to be at home. They don't have, you know, a spouse. They don't have a dog. They're just going day by day, boat to boat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the job, sometimes you look at it, there are some aspects to it where you're like, this would kind of be sweet. Would you do a job, like if somebody reached out to you now for one summer to do a job like that, do you think you would do it?
In my current predicament, I don't think the one upstairs would let me.
Yeah,
but,
let's say a couple years ago.
Couple years ago, if before I was in a committed relationship with a mortgage, I would say yeah, because it's like that's a very, not a once in a lifetime chance, but it's like if you're able to give this type of position, it's just like, even if you had no experience, absolutely, because you get to go somewhere great and you get to learn at least something, do something. You're actually doing something. That's the thing. On here, you got to be able to dock and launch boats and be able to do service all around that.
Yeah.
The excursions that they go on, there's a lot to learn and pick up on, and those experiences, I think, are definitely, it's not like somebody's asking you to work at a gas station off the New Jersey Turnpike for a summer.
Right.
Like, this is like something that's like, I would jump all over if I was given that.
Yeah. A lot, especially if you're single. I mean, like you said, everybody on the boat, young, hot, a lot of abs flowing around. Not particularly for me, but a lot of hot women, especially the guests.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing is you got to keep that boundary between don't fuck the guests basically, because
that's like a big part of the show. It seems like where they're like, oh, we're gonna see if anybody tries to bang the guest. Now I only saw one season, season 7, and nobody banged any guests. They did get close. A lot of the crew banging each other. Yeah.
Now, you brought up a good point there with a lot of the people that are on there, all of them, obviously, are all single. Now, I mean, you could see some real fireworks be set off if you bring a married guy on this boat and you have his wife calling him, and then they're making noise loud at night, late at night, and he's just screaming, can you guys just keep it the fuck down? Like, that would turn into some fireworks. I'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what, so I'm watching the show, as I first discovered it, and I'm like, I get it. They're going to get them all drunk. There's going to be drama. There's going to be angry customers, and there's going to be, so I'm like, all right, I know what's going to happen here. But then I forced myself to watch more and more episodes, and I did find myself getting addicted, where I'm like, I don't want to watch the next episode, but I am interested to see, because some shit does really start to pop off. And I do have to say, this one it's pretty fun. It can be pretty fun. I mean, there's nothing it's predictable, but like it can be fun to watch things explode.
Oh yeah. Now remind me, in this season of 7 of Thailand, as I've seen episodes here or there across many different seasons. I've watched I would probably say a few dozen different episodes sprinkled throughout many different ones, including some from this season 7 in Thailand. Is each episode is not a different person. Some of the group that's on the boat with them, like guests.
You mean each season?
Each season isn't just a season dedicated to them servicing just one guest. Like they change, but it's not episodes either. Like there could be 2 or 3 episodes with the same guests on board.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I just saw the one season, and I think that depending upon how long the trip is, but for the most part, each episode seemed to be a different group of guests, unless there was a lot of drama that was packed in one episode, and then they carried over into 2.
Because that's a lot. Because I mean, the season's like 15 or 20 episodes long. So I mean,
some are like, I was looking through, some are really long. I mean, season 7, I don't know how long it was, but it seemed like there was a ton of episodes that I had to get through. I mean, it was pretty exhausting. As I'm doing this, I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, starting up this podcast, I'm like, this is a lot of my life.
Started it, and now it's like you're doing it around something that you sometimes hate watch, and now you're like, I guess I gotta watch it.
Do I want to? I'm like, do I really want to commit to this? But I'm like, I'm gonna see how long this can, how long I can do.
How long you can stomach it? Yeah. It'll be a true test. Yeah, I think it's a good test to have.
But so basically, the concept of this show is they get this this old Santa Claus looking dude, Captain Lee, and he owns a yacht. And I guess the yachting industry, this seems fairly common, except it's not televised, but he gets a yacht, hires a crew. You have like a chef that's always super angry. Of course, the chefs have to be badasses, they think. And they're always angry. And they're like, man, this is the best mac and cheese.
They got some type of accent. Yeah. These people come from all over the world,
all over the world. Yeah. The dude, season 7, was, I think, from Australia.
That's what I remember
Huge
hearing.
Dick. I feel like every chef, probably every season, they're like, oh, he's a problem. I'm like, why is the chef always always so angry.
That's what I've noticed with the episodes that I've seen is that the chef always has some type of chip on their shoulder. They speak an accent, and the girls are just, they act like they've never talked to somebody outside of the state they lived in half their life. And it's like a whole nother experience. And
oh, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, he could just be, you know, cooking up mashed potatoes and they're like,
yeah, gives it a fancy name. Throw some garlic on it. Throw some little, you know, basil leaves there, and it just looks like a 5-star meal.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got the Captain Lee. He hires a crew, hires a chef. He hires like a deck. I think they're called deck hands. The people that kind of help, you know, take care of the ship. And then there's the like the waitresses, or
I don't know the names of them either. But you had the deckhands. You got, I think they do use the term first mates in there.
First mates.
That's like the person right below the Captain Lee guy.
Yeah, which
chef, and
there's like a head guy that is head of the deck crew, and then there's a at least in this season, Kate is the head of the service. I forget what it's considered or what they call it, but it's, you know, the people that serve the guest drinks and they serve them food, and they all work off tips. And then there's the dickhead chef. Yeah. And then at the end of the excursion for these guests, they split the tips, and they make some serious cash on this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They make some good money. I mean, it's only for a summer.
Now, do they only get paid in tips?
Yeah.
That's the only way? Okay.
I think so.
I think so as well, but at the end of each of these excursions, they'll be like, oh, you know, and then they have a little thing like, here's an envelope full of money of tips, and then they count it all up, and they'll be like, okay, well, after I take half of that, and after the other half goes to here, then here's what each one of you peasants is left with.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really good. Not even peasants, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they'll make some pretty good money, even splitting it amongst all of them. Yeah. And then they, you know, some guests tip them really well, and some, you know, not so great for the service that they provide. I mean, you're on a yacht. Yeah. I'm like, it just, I mean, a lot of these guests too that you'll see come through, they're like these young, hot people. And I'm like, what do you guys do for a living that you're just doing an excursion on a yacht and then you're tipping these people out? And I'm like, how, like, you guys, there's people that are like my age that are like, yeah, I'm just doing a little yacht thing. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. And I'm like, how?
I should have asked before we did this. One of Rachel's, someone that Rachel knows, one of her friends, or someone, they know someone that was actually on one of the episodes.
Really?
And I want to say there was some incentive for them to be on there. Like, I know a lot of these shows will pay. Like, I'm sure the people on that are working these ships for these shows are getting paid separately to be on this show. They have to be. I don't know if the guests that come on the ships are getting paid. I have no idea how it works. But either way, you would think that if you're going on a yacht excursion like this, like a very expensive one, you got to have some type of really good job, enough money to do that. Because this is like what you would consider a week-long vacation in a Jersey Shore. It probably costs 12 times that to be on one of these things. Yeah. And you would think
this ain't no Wildwood, baby.
Yeah, no, this isn't a watch the tram car. It's a watch my yacht as we get you out of the way as we're, porting in Monaco or something.
Wait, so one of Rachel's friends was a guest on the yacht or worked on one of them?
One of her friends knows somebody that was a guest on one of the yachts. I don't know if it was the Thailand season. It might have been a different one. I forget which.
Maybe it could have been Thailand, because there was a lot of young guest cruise people.
I think so. But I got the same thought in my head. I was like, if you see a younger person on this show, it's like, I'm in no position to do something like that unless I knew somebody or unless I was a trust fund kid. So where are these people coming from? And you get the same type of thing like watching other channels like HGTV, where you see, the classic, they have a $1.2 million budget and they're a preschool teacher and like a truck driver. It's like, what is going on
How
here?
are you guys like the fixer-upper? You'll have, a young couple that's like, we're just looking to upgrade. And I'm like, you've been working for 2 years.
I was like, this is what you guys at this age, like, they look like they could be 22 years old. They have like 3 kids and they're going on
more
this
space.
Yeah. And in here they want to go on this. Have you seen some of the episodes with kids on them? I think they have some younger kids at least. Why would you want to bring them on a yacht on one of these things?
Nightmare.
Terrible.
Nightmare.
Oh, a lot of them are international too. You got to travel with those kids internationally. Have you ever done that? Because it's a bit of a headache.
Some of these guests are such assholes on this season too, which of course you expect, but there's a lot of sexual harassment thrown out there. There's a lot of people who are obviously just complete snobs that are, not okay with this magnificent food. They're not okay with the service. I'm like, you're on a yacht.
Yeah. You're on a yacht, and I mean, I give it to the chefs for trying to do exactly, because a lot of these requests that they have going into the kitchen are insane. I wouldn't make these requests, and I feel like that's part of the show. Like, hey, why don't you make it a little difficult for them? Like, hey, throw a little spice into that. Say that say that your grilled salmon wasn't it wasn't warm enough or something.
So that is one of my favorite parts about the show, is when people do complain to the chef, because obviously it throws off the entire crew and gets them so pissed. The one episode, I think it was one of the last episodes of season 7, this woman requests a cake in the shape of a dick.
Oh, jeez. Is this her bachelorette party?
It's something like that. Yeah, I think it's her bachelorette. She's getting married and wanted to go out with something crazy and a bang, and requests like a big black penis cake. That was specifically what. So he's like, okay, I got to make this. He comes out to bring it out to all of her friends. They don't know about this, the friends. She I guess didn't tell them. And the birthday girl, got so drunk that she fell asleep earlier and like forgot that they were bringing out a cake. So then he just brings out this huge cock cake to her whole group of friends, and they're so offended. They're like, what are you doing? And the chef is so embarrassed, and he's like, this is kind of, I just thought this would be fun for the brand. And they're like, no, what?
Were any of the girls black?
They all were.
Oh, they
all were.
Was the chef just that Australian guy?
He's that white Australian guy. He's like, I thought this would be all right in a big black penis cake. And they're like, why would you think that we would want to take a bite into this?
Oh, that was a good Australian accent.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
Jesus, you're looking to get a job as a chef on a ship.
Yeah, and he was so embarrassed. It was awesome. That's some of the shit that you see on the show that I'm like, all right, this is pretty funny.
Yeah, that type of stuff is classic. I mean, that I could see that being planted if it was. I mean, that's still amazing. That's hilarious. Now, I hope if they don't have writers on the show, they need to hire some, because you can make some situations very interesting.
I would love to have somebody on, maybe eventually on this podcast, I can actually get some cast or crew members, because I'd love to know how they actually shoot and produce that, if they have writers.
Yeah, you could definitely go down and start talking to people that have been on, and as long as the NDAs are expired or their season is aired for a while, I'm sure there's some people that have had some type of involvement with this show.
Yeah.
If not, we can look them up somewhere and try and find them.
And
absolutely.
I'm sure that there's some people that are doing really well, but I bet you a lot of the cast and crew members are not necessarily killing it. Maybe they're still a lot of them, I think, I would guess, are like actually just full-time yachters who got on a season or two. It seems like some people are on a lot of the seasons, TBD until I watch them all, but
that's what I liked about it. Going back to my first point about it, is that a lot of these people, they were on here, but it wasn't like it could just be anybody. You had to have some type of experience of working on a boat, which not everybody would have.
Yeah,
at least they're doing something. But they're young, and they're all drinking and all this type of stuff. But
it's like you watch the Jersey Shore, and they give them a job, and they're like, all right, you guys are going to work at the ice cream parlor. And I'm like, you're 37.
Yeah,
like you're just doing a summer gig. Like, at least these people are like hustling. I mean, like, anybody who's worked in the service industry knows how much it sucks.
Yeah, and then imagine doing it on a floating
yacht.
Boat.
Yeah,
with
getting sick and
all types of stuff like that, and there's cameras following you around. So I commend them for that. So I would imagine a lot of them, if not all of them, they just got picked for a show, and they're probably doing this full time. I know I've seen some episodes where a lot of them talk about going into other industries, or they're studying, or they want to go to be this or that.
Yeah,
it kind of seems like people are either coming or going from that type of industry. It is a service industry job, but I feel like a lot of them are probably still out working somewhere in some type of service industry job.
Well, I think I know one person that sort of loosely know that was doing something like this, like was sort of a yachty. I think that's what they call
yachty.
Yeah. And like,
isn't that a rapper? Lil Yachty?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
Lil Yachty, Lil Xan, anything Lil.
Yeah.
Could be a potential rapper. But I think that she kind of went really downhill after. Nah, she's a rich kid, spoiled rich kid.
Just
who I think kind of got into that after we graduated, because like, oh, it's fun and it's great and I'll be on a yacht, but it is, obviously it looks like an amazing time. I think a lot of it was for the Instagram pictures, but then as reality, I'm 28, and as we're kind of getting closer to that age, I'm wondering, like, when people do that when you're young, it's fine, but like, what do you do? What do you do after that? Like, there's some people that it looks like they're kind of yachties for life. Like the one chick who's like the head service lady, Kate, who's pretty funny. I mean, everyone was like, she's such a bitch. And like she, you know, definitely is not the most pleasant person, but at least season 7, I thought that she was totally reasonable the whole time. Yeah. But anyway, she seems like she's on a lot of the seasons, but she's a little bit like, I don't know, maybe she's in her 40s. And I'm like, if you did want to get out of this industry, what are you going to do outside of serving or hospitality? Like I got to imagine it's got to be tough to get out of something that's so
because it's so of a niche industry as well. If you spend so many years doing that, like if you decide to leave the industry, you got to go into something either service or yacht related. I mean, given the amount of
sucks.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, service jobs, I mean, it depends what you want to go into. I've never worked in the service industry. I did retail. I've done other stuff. I was a lifeguard.
Which is also bad.
Exactly. I pumped gas. I worked as a lifeguard. And it's the same thing. When you're a lifeguard, it's a teenage job. You don't have some, 33-year-old single guy lifeguarding anywhere. Yeah. It's like the oldest person we had might have been 20.
Yeah.
It's like,
and they're like the manager that's been there for 10 years.
They're the manager, and we would get a quarter raise every year. So some people, they were making bank. They were making like $10 an hour.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah,
how old are
business.
you?
Yeah.
I used to be a water park lifeguard, and we got paid minimum wage, which was $7.25 an hour.
Oh yeah.
And you would work from like 7 to 7. I worked as a water park lifeguard in the Wildwood Boardwalk. And I'm thinking, like, this is great. I work at a water park. I get to go down the slide at the end of my shift. Like, it was a nightmare, dude. Like, you work 7 to 7, like 6 days a week. And you're just physically exhausted. You're sitting out. I mean, I'm an Irish kid. I'm sitting out in the sun just roasting all day.
That's what everybody would say to me as a lifeguard. It's like, well, at least you go out to be in the sun all day. It's like, have you seen my arms? Do you think this is what wants to be in the sun all day?
At the end of the summer, you're like, this is not fun anymore.
No, brutal. That's why I went to go pump gas instead, because there was some movement. There was some action. Lifeguarding, I just sat there and roasted.
Well, I had the opposite, because as a lifeguard, that's what I thought I was going to do. But at the water park, you were jumping in and helping people or saving people all day, because it's not like a lot of real saves. I mean, I definitely had a decent amount of people that are going in like off the shotgun falls into a 12-foot pool, and they're like, hey, I don't know how to swim. And you're like, why the hell would you think, like, people would be like going into 12 feet of pool, and they're like, do you think I'll be okay in this? I'm like, can you swim? They're like, no.
And it's rough in there too, because you got the water coming off the slide and everything.
Are you 12 feet tall? Then no, then don't jump in there. And people would do that, and then you'd have to go in and just kind of get them to the ladder. But a lot of the times, it was, young kids would go down like the mat slide, and then there's a 500-pound adult male coming in right after that's about to take their head off, and they're just like flopping around, and you're like, get the hell out of there, and you're jumping in every 5 seconds because people are just nonstop going down.
And that's a big difference between me being a pool lifeguard, which was a lot different than a water park, because I feel like more people going to a water park have no clue how to swim versus at a pool and a swim club where there's a swim team.
Yes.
So you're probably jumping in there. I didn't have to save anybody in 5 years. I think I lifeguarded. You probably had a ton. What would you say? Were you like what was your batting average? Like, were you like a 33 for 42?
I didn't lose any lives, but I was jumping in at least a couple times a day.
Jesus.
To like help people out.
Man.
I mean, maybe more than that. Like, depending upon the severity, like I was jumping in for like people that really needed help, that would have been, in trouble outside of just being hit by another, person sliding down. At least a couple times, maybe like 1 or 2 a day, which all summer though.
Yeah.
And you would be amazed at how many people who do not know how to swim think it's a good idea to go to a water park.
I could not imagine. Yeah, being in those, because those are pretty deep, a lot of them, because they have to account for you falling in off of a slide, and then the water coming out of those slides is moving. So, I mean, it's kind of rough to be in. So I could definitely see that's a lot more needed than a stagnant pool.
Yeah,
so.
And you would get paid $7.25 an hour. But you would work so many hours that, like, for an 18-year-old, I think it was, 18-year-old kid, it was decent summer money, but man, it was exhausting.
Yeah, I could definitely say exhausting.
No yacht money.
No, it's not yacht money. You're not getting tipped $2,000 a week for for sure. But both of them can definitely be exhausting. At least as a lifeguard, you're not dealing with some drunk rich idiots on a yacht. So there's that.
Yeah, you're not going to find that in Wildwood.
No, not in Wildwood. Not in a lot of places at the Jersey Shore. Certainly not Wildwood.
Yeah,
no.
That is the interesting thing about Below Deck is they do get to go out and kind of party in like the cool places that like this season they're in Thailand. Fuck it, Thailand. Or Phuket. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think it's just fuck. I don't know.
Phucket. Get back to us. We'll put it up here.
Yeah. Leave the comment of how it's pronounced, because two white guys from South Jersey probably we need some help in the pronunciation.
Never
department.
been to T-Land, but they get to go out, and then they just go out and they liquor them up, and then they all wind up making out with each other. And like it reminded me of like what it was like just blacking out every single day when you're 17 years old, and you just wake up making mistake after mistake. And I'm watching the show, and it's bringing back that anxiety of like, man, thank God I don't drink like that anymore, because it's a nightmare, dude. Like, they're like grown ass adults. A lot of them have kids, and they're like belligerently drunk, and like, you know, you see the blackout makeouts, and that they're waking up going like, what happened last night? And I am so happy that I haven't, you know, been there in a long time.
Yeah, you kind of move past that. You reach a certain point where it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And it usually hit me a couple years after college.
Yes.
Obviously, I was single, living in a city with other people, but like you get to that point where it's like, what am I doing? What is the point of this?
Well, I got to the point where like it got real scary when you were waking up going like, I truly don't remember like how I got home last night.
Yeah, exactly. You try and backpedal yourself by looking at the stamps from the bars that you've been in.
Yeah.
And I am just glad that I wasn't in that situation during the pandemic, because I wouldn't know what to do with myself if none of that was available.
After a while, it just gets so exhausting and so terrifying. And like, I think it took me a couple of years to even realize that I was blacking out, because in a blackout you don't realize I am fully. I remember thinking, you know, in a blackout, the only thing I can remember is thinking like before, there's a period before you black out where, you know, you remember kind of where you were in the night, and then there's like the end of the night, which is the blackout. But before, I remember always thinking like, I know I've drank a lot, but I feel in control. I am fine. And then if somebody were recording me or were to show me a video, I 100% was not fine. Like slurring my words, making horrible decisions. Like it gives me anxiety even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was at.
Pre-blackout, I'm like, yeah, I was already, but I thought that I was good.
I remember being fine in like a taxi going back to our house, and then don't remember anything, and it turns out I was like face down in the street in the middle of Spring Garden. And it's like a few years later, here I am wearing some jeans I got at Marshall's, wearing shoes that I cut grass in the other weekend. You know, this is where life leads you when you leave.
Good.
Jesus, this is exactly what happens.
I will say though, like with that, like it can be very fun when you're in your young 20s and you're single and you're doing all of that stuff. I don't miss it at all. Like that, it was just anxiety riddled. Like just blacking out. It was you know, it had some fun moments, but
there's some fun times and fun stories you get out of it and experiences. But then other than that,
chilling now.
Yeah, now it's like, it's exactly like, I always wonder, like when people make jokes about like, oh, like, you know, it's such a pain to have to go out and do stuff. And I remember when we were young, and this was only like, we're talking like, making it seem like this was decades ago. It was like 5 years ago, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. But it does feel like a long time ago.
It does, but then it was just like we were going out multiple places every single night. Wouldn't leave the house until like 10 or 11 p.m. And it's like, now that's when I'm going to sleep. And it's like a lot can change real fast.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of, you know, you transitioning into becoming a dad, not actually Dan doesn't have any kids, it's just the jeans. Just the jeans and the shoes.
The jeans, the dad hats, not even the fitted ones, this is the buckled ones. Yeah, it's just the lifestyle I've chosen to live.
But so Captain Lee, you know, runs this yacht, and man, this guy is very much a father figure.
Yeah.
Like he comes in, at least in season 7, a couple of times where he kind of reprimands them and is like, I'm not going to have any of you guys, you know, messing around in the middle of the night and acting like drunk idiots. I'll see you all in the morning. And they're kind of like, yes, Captain Lee. Like,
exactly. And that's what, either where he's the captain or one of the other captains is on there, that's kind of their role, is they're kind of like the parent of the boat, because they are older by at least 30 or 40 years than a lot of people that are working for them, for the crew that they chose.
Yeah.
So they kind of got to fill that role, and I guess they know what they're getting into. But yeah, it is a lot of reprimanding. It's a lot of...
I like Captain Lee. I mean, he's got this little fat, little tan, old man body, which is kind of funny. Yeah. And he seems like he kind of talks a tough game, but like he's a lovable guy. Now, granted, I've only seen one season, so I'm just judging based off what I saw from season 7. He seems like he would be a cool boss, but just under tough circumstances because like you're just dealing with a bunch of idiots the whole time.
Yeah, and I've seen him kind of hang out and cut loose a little bit with some of them, whether it was going out somewhere or just
Seems
like
to pay
having a
them
good
well.
time. Yeah, he pays them well. I don't know what his cut is of a lot of this money. If I could
Yeah.
see a percentage breakdown, that would be nice. But it seems like he's probably living a nice life in like Key West or something like that. Miami high rise, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So do you remember, I have their names written down here. If I said the names of the people that were in season 7, do you think you would remember like who is who?
I don't think I would. I wouldn't know these people if I hit them with my car, to be honest. But I could give him a goog and see, or
well, let me ask you a couple other things just because we got, I would say maybe like, you know, a little bit more time left, you know, not that I'm in a rush. We're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But I do have some questions that I wanted to get to. Let's see. If you wouldn't mind, let's say you're auditioning for Below Deck.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I'm thinking that similar to like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, like probably the crazier the better, but you have to be somewhat competent, at least in this job, because you're actually, you know, working. If you had to send in, if you wouldn't mind, like a 20-second audition tape or 30-second audition tape to Below Deck, how would that go? And take your time. You don't need to jump right into it. You know,
20-second below. Well, I can already say I'm trying to think of how I would get this out right here and now. But if you could just imagine that I was pretty like blotchy or sweating like tequila from the night before, I had to make it look like I was borderline.
And you
like,
could do that.
Yeah, I could just make it seriously.
Make that a reality.
Yeah, I could just take off the hat and I could just sit there and be like, listen, I really need this job.
Yeah,
and that would be almost enough for them to just be like, you know what, you're hired.
All right, so you get all liquored up. Or looking all liquored up.
You gotta be
sweating your ass off.
Yeah, you gotta be sweating your ass off, sweating straight tequila. You gotta smell like a brewery. You gotta get multiple types of alcohol involved in there. Sweating tequila, smelling like a brewery.
I'm picturing like an open Hawaiian shirt.
Open Hawaiian shirt.
You got a lot of those, probably.
I got one actually sitting literally right upstairs over the corner. It's a Phillies Hawaiian shirt, you know, and I might need to cut up there and, you know, get out. And,
should we
should
we make a quick cut and we can cut this and then have you come back down with,
you know, this is a good segment. We'll cut here. I'll come back down and I'll do an audition, just like it's like a real world audition, only it's more Below Deck styled, and I'm going to audition to be on the next yacht.
Perfect. Let's do it. So our next guy that we're bringing in for an audition says here his name is Dan Callahan. Dan, come on in.
What's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing, bro?
Yeah, thanks for coming in, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. It's a sweet hat.
Yeah, you know, I used to be a DJ. So
oh, really?
I'll just hold it like this. It doesn't go over my hat, and I'm not
sure.
taking the hat off.
That's yeah, I mean, it's great that you have experience as a DJ. Have you ever done it on, you know, a boat or anything that's...
Yeah, I've done a few gay cruises. I've done some orgy-related ones, if that's kind of your thing.
Orgy yachts?
Yeah, orgy yachts. I've done some EDM festivals.
I didn't know they had orgy yachts.
It wasn't so much of a yacht. It was kind of my uncle's fishing boat in the Delaware River. But, I mean...
Some friends and family?
Friends and family, discounted. We did this in the fall. It was nice. We had a blast.
Okay.
Got a couple good reviews, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, weird place to start off, but I appreciate you coming in for the audition. Do you always come in with your shirt open, or that's sort of your style? This
is just my style.
Okay.
You know, I think I should just be my most authentic self and live my truth. And you know, yeah, I just came here from my father's. It was his ex-girlfriend's viewing. So this is how I roll.
Oh my God! Well, I appreciate you squeezing us in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're looking a little sweaty. Can I offer you a water or a drink or something?
Oh no, I'm good. I actually way ahead of you there, boss. Got you all set here.
Oh, you just bring that wherever you go.
Yeah, it's just
perfect.
I might need a refill on this, but no, I think that's good. I think I'm set for now.
Okay.
But yeah, if I am sweating tequila, I had a rough night last night. Smell like a brewery. I hit all the spots.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I'm just ready to be a yachty. That's all.
No, I appreciate your excitement. I guess first question is, tell me about your yachting experience. Have you ever worked on, worked on a yacht?
Other than my uncle's riverboat, or You know, I did help.
You look to camera as you're answering this, by the way. Just
This isn't going to any local authorities or anything. It's just it's kind of just
no. Why would it
internal.
go to local authorities? It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, my cousin. I wouldn't say that there was a misunderstanding. I wouldn't say that we robbed a casino boat in the Mississippi, but we definitely got on there and we made out with more than we came on with. If that's so, is that considered working a yacht or a river or water boat on water in some way?
Technically on a boat.
And then other than that, I would say that I've worked some Carnival cruises before,
Okay.
not through Carnival, but through some other entities on board, per se. So I think I have, if this gets passed around the office a little bit, I have a tremendous amount of experience. So I would
Sure.
say so.
Who brought this guy?
So
Just keep going. All right. Next question, Dan. We're just going to keep this rolling because why not? It's Below Deck. As you've maybe seen on Below Deck.
I love the show. I love it. I love
it's a great show.
Yeah.
Now, on Below Deck, as you know, Dan, the crew typically gets laid a lot. Now, I'd like to know, and you look like a guy who knows his way around a vagina.
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but
what is your experience like with the ladies?
Well, I don't know if you got my invitation on Tinder before this, but I don't mean to brag, but I get quite the action on the old Tinders and Bumbles and LinkedIn, all those dating apps.
LinkedIn. I didn't know people were surfing for dates on LinkedIn.
No, they're not. But between them and Uber Pool, it's quite. I have quite I have quite the experience with the ladies and whoever's with the ladies. Some of their girlfriends, some of their girlfriends' friends, some of their boyfriend, whoever. I mean, you know.
So have you ever been laid before?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to go into too many details here, but
sounds like you kind of were unsure about that.
Yeah. I think I've got quite the experience in that field.
Okay. Now, was there a particular job that you think that you would be best suited for on the yacht?
I think I should stay as far away from the kitchen as possible. I've seen what some of the chefs on your shows have done. And I think as far as my cooking experience goes, I haven't been able to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without burning it. So I think I should stay far away from that area. As far as I think one of the they call them the handies, one of the hand jobs.
That's not what they're called.
It's one of the jobs with the hand jobs. I think first. It's hands.
A job, but it's separate words. The hand deck is I believe what you're referring to. Not a hand job.
See, I thought this was about a...
you thought this was for a hand job?
I thought this job interview was for a yacht centered around people needing hand jobs. So
no.
It seems there was a bit of a misunderstanding. However, I think I'm still...
On your part.
I think I'm still a little overqualified for the position. However, I'm still interested.
No, I'm sure you've given out a lot of hand jobs, but this is a little bit more... complex than that, but I appreciate you coming in. We will let you know.
I'm eager to hear back. When should I follow up by?
I would say give us a year or two, and you should maybe hear back then.
All right, I got a couple things going on next weekend. I'm actually tailgating with the boys at the Eagles game.
Not a problem.
So just don't call me the day before or day after
we
that.
Won't.
And
definitely won't.
But I'll definitely keep my calendar open. There was a few
things, open.
A few jobs I've had to turn down to take this interview, and a
couple different hand jobs.
A couple different jobs involving hands, involving all different types of body parts.
I don't know what that even means.
And
jobs involving hands.
I'll keep my calendar open, and I appreciate the time.
Sure. Well, thanks for coming in, Dan.
Yeah. Do you validate parking?
No. Get out.
Thanks again.
Just get out. Yeah. Please. How the hell did this guy get in here? Did you let him in for the hand job?